We now have our second guest for the show, Madam ACG NDLA Ibinabo Abia, to speak on tomorrow's event, which is World Drug Day, and the menace of drug abuse in Nigeria and the efforts of the NDLA to address this challenge and educate the public. Madam, it's very good to have you on the program.
Thank you.
Well, this is the week, about drug abuse, and tomorrow is the grand finale. But I'd like you to take us through how Nigeria became a major consumption center for drug abuse. Before now, Nigeria was described as a transit point. Maybe some people were, cultivating marijuana, cannabis, as it's otherwise called. But now we have a major problem here of people consuming all kinds of stimulants. How did we get here? Where did we get it wrong?
Thank you very much. That's one question wherever we go to. First, Nigeria was actually referred to as a transit nation because of our network of air lines. You can connect most parts of the world from Nigeria. So it was easy, people coming into our nation and trafficking the substances through our seaports, airports. But recently, there's been a new sheriff in town that altered that. We have strict enforcement measures in place. We are the airports, seaports, the land borders, everywhere. And we do intercity interdiction and operations. So taking out those drugs, and now they are not very easy again. What they do now, they localize it. And that's the bane now. And that's what we are working seriously on. You could say that we go on raids, we are now having a balanced approach to curb the menace of what you just discussed, consumption, the high consumption rates. NDLA realizes it. The chief executive has taken up several strategies, and I believe we'll discuss some of the strategies as we go on. So the consumption too is now being curbed maximally.
Just before we go to the strategies, now in terms of the demographics, the distribution, which states are the main centers, which regions are the main areas giving problems? What patterns have you observed as Director of Operations of the Drug Law Enforcement Agency?
Not wanting to label any state or any region, I want to say it's a national issue. There is no state that is insulated from the scourge called drug abuse and illicit trafficking. Every state, even the ones who think will never get involved, they are all in it. Well, for purposes of enlightenment, I want to say, and that's not like stigmatizing any region, we have a major problem in the southwest, in the north, in the south-south, we have problems. Majorly in the north, what we contend against or with is this Zakiam, local substances they abuse. They do lots of tramadol, and that is understandable too. When you come to the southwest, because of our porous borders, the land, the airports, the seaports, and the exposure of the people, they also abuse drugs so much and the traffic in drugs. So predominantly, every region in Nigeria, there is none that is insulated.
That's huge. That means that every part of Nigeria, nook cranny, with drug challenges. Yeah, but let me talk about, I have two pamphlets in my hands. One is the National Drug Control Master Plan, and I recall that the master plan runs from 2021 to 2024, the current one. So we're coming to the end of the implementation of the master plan. I'd like you to just share with us how successful this has been in terms of this National Drug Control Master Plan. Then the theme for this year's International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking, which happens tomorrow, is the evidence is clear, invest in prevention. How much investment in prevention has been made by the NDLEA?
Thank you very much. That's why we are here today, to sensitize Nigerians, the governments, policymakers, everyone, public-spirited persons, that the investment in drug prevention should not be left in the hands of NDLA alone. It should be owned by everybody. In families, in fact, most families suffer from these things without coming out. But today we are here to tell them that they should come out to NDLA, will be of help to them. Now the evidence is clear. It's the theme for the United Nations Drug Abuse Day coming up tomorrow. The grand finale is tomorrow. The evidence is clear. Invest in prevention. We've been doing lots of preventive measures in Nigeria. When our Honorable Chairman came on board, he said the approach should not just be supply reduction, but we should go further into demand reduction, which we've been doing. And he came up with this WADA project, War Against Drug Abuse. How do we implement this? We go to the nooks and crannies of every town. We are there, from the primary schools to the secondary to the hospitals, marketplaces. In fact, even the traditional institutions are not left out. We try to bring all of them on board so that, especially for the traditional fathers, they speak to the people and they respect their voices. We ask them to amplify the voice of NDLA so that the locals will also know what we are talking about. So there are lots of preventive measures in place. We also do counseling. We do rehabilitation. Such services are in place, not just the supply reduction, which is the operations, the rates, and that. Yeah. We try to balance the approach.
How about master plan? Where are we with that?
The master plan, actually, we've been working very hard on it. You know, it's an interministerial thing, organized, not just NGLA. So every facet of the ministries are expected to bring their own programs on board, and we've been doing lots of that. Sensitization is part, ownership is part. In fact, it's pronged on two those things, so that we have the supply-demand approach, the drug-demand approach, the government involvement, and all that. So NGLA has pioneered it. We are coordinating, and we have very good hands, experts manning that department. Not just Nigeria, we are partnering even with our foreign stakeholders in our National Drug Master Control Plan. So we have gone a long way to achieve the purposes that are the objectives for the period in question.
Let's talk about drug in the workplace and drug in the family. We're having a proliferation. The other day, I think an official of NDLA was talking about the fact that even before marriage, drugs test must be taken among spouses. And some people laugh it off, but it's a big chaos going on in homes. Most men and women are the influence of narcotics, and they're getting into marriages and they're raising families. Let's talk about that. Let's also talk about the workplace. Some will say because of work pressure, they are cocaine, heroin, and all sorts of drugs. Let's talk about that. What are the things viewers out there can do to alert NDLA as regards this?
The workplace, just as I submitted just a few moments ago, not just the schools, we go even to the workplaces. We organize seminars, workshops. We take it to their companies, to the factories, because most persons that use those drugs, people think are the low-class ones. It's not true. Or those people you see on the roads. It's not true. We have the high-profile persons using is the type of drugs anyway you ask. High-profile persons, managing directors, very important VIPs into drugs or their children. So these things translate to the workplaces. If you have an MD that is hooked on drug, you know what it means. His secretary may be asked to go and fetch him drugs, and before you know, she's involved into also. But what programs do we have for them? We have these harm reduction programs. We go for counseling. We test them, not just to label them or stigmatize them or to make them lose their job. No. When you're on drugs, we advise you to come over for counseling. And we do lots of that. We have experts. We need the public to know that these things are real. We have experts trained to handle these issues. So nobody should be labeled or stigmatized because he or she is hooked or challenged with substance use. All they need is help. We see it as a mental or health issue. If you can treat for malaria, you can also treat for addictions. So let's encourage and let's come together. The idea of hiding them, living a life of denial, oh, it can't be me, God forbid. No, that's not helpful. If you know where they are, please contact us. We'll be leaving our numbers for you.
And people can't be, because I need to say that also to the audience, people can be truly free of drugs.
Oh, very well.
I need to say that to them.
We have scientific evidence that people come through counseling, but your will must be there too. You must have a will. But they come and they are successful. Recently, we counseled very high-profile children. Some of them in the universities, they left. They are hooked on drugs. We found them on the streets. Their parents came for us to help take them in. We took them in, and they are now.
When you say counsel, does NDLEA have a rehab?
We have a rehab.
Okay.
In Lagos State, we have a mini rehab in Bagada. We also have one in Badagry, but we are calling up. It's not sufficient. Rehabilitation centers are very expensive. Even rehabilitating those clients are very expensive. So it's not something they will leave just for NDLEA. We are calling upon the government. We are calling upon public-spirited citizens, corporate organizations. We must all own those things. The question is, who else or who next will be a drug addict?
Okay, madam. What is the role? Because oftentimes government will tell us that when there is a problem in society, the responsibility is collective. Now, I'd like you to speak to the role of religious organizations. This is a very religious society. And many of these people you see taking drugs, particularly the young people, some of their parents will go to church, they will go to mosque. Where is the disconnect? And what is the role of parents? Rotarians will tell you that the family unit is the most important unit in society. What role can parents play in all of this?
Thank you very much. The church, not just the church, the religious faith-based organizations now, but generally. I wouldn't say they've not been doing something about this. I know that places like Kadem is run by the Redeemed Christian Church, and they've been there for so long. We've got other ministries into these things in both divides, you know, but it's not sufficient. We still want them because the people are always there with them. The influence of the pastor on his followers is so massive that if they tell them don't do drugs, they will not do it. All we need is to get to those pastors. We do. We go to the churches and tell them, please speak on this subject. That's why during this United Nations International Day Against Drug Abuse, we even went to the church, we went to the mosque, and it's not a one-off thing. We do that every other time. If I don't, like, I'm a Christian, I get my Muslim officers to go in there because they connect more with them. And when it's time for church programs, I go in there, or Christian officers, we connect with them, we talk with them. But there is still so much to be done. Most churches are not talking. And we are appealing to them that please, they should come on board and use this time to also sensitize the people that there is a need for us all to speak, to amplify this voice. Drug is not beautiful. It's highly destructive. There is a lady that just came back from America, got hooked. Well-trained person, her friend actually introduced her into this habit. She didn't know at first, but before you know, she was down there on the streets. So it can be anybody. Those attitude of we saying, oh, God forbid, it's not my portion. Whose portion? Let's do the right things. Then to the family. let's not label the children, but the mothers and fathers have to be very sensitive when the children are growing up. We must monitor them. There are indices we tell the parents to watch out for. When children begin to isolate themselves from other gatherings, they want to stay in their, watch out for their friends, the type of friends, their appearance, their results in school. Are they deteriorating? Even their appearance is the first signal. A child you know. So parents should watch out and don't hide. Don't think, oh, my neighbors will laugh at me. But when the child becomes very bad, your neighbors will get to know. So prevention is key. And that's why we are saying, let's invest in prevention. It's better to nip it in the bud than allowing it escalate, becoming a psychiatric issue, which will cost the government pain or money, cost parents pains and shame, even waste the destiny, colorful destiny of these children. That's why we are saying to everybody, let's use this day, the United Nations International Day again, to create awareness. It shouldn't be an NDLA thing. Everybody. I was in Singapore the other time. They were having their, similar to this, their Yellow Ribbon Day. The streets were all lighted up everywhere. To create awareness, Nigeria can do that. We do that for Christmas. Yeah. So we can do that to bring sensitization to our citizenry.
Thank you so much. I think in order to drive home this point, and I'm so glad you touched on a number of very important points. I love the importance of working in partnership with religious organizations. Talk about CADAM. I know that God Bless Nigeria, and I don't know if you know about the initiative.
Oh, yes.
And also Lagos Diaries. But
oh, sorry, even the president's wife, before she now, also had an NGO.
Good.
The current president, I mean, our first lady, God bless you, Her Excellency, she also has this NGO for drug. So she's also partnering with us.
All right, thank you. So I'd like you to paint a picture, and that's why perhaps Dr. Bat was asking about statistics in terms of where are the most, the areas. And I know you want to be diplomatic, so we're not, but we need to tell the story. So can you share with us age, which age group is where this is most prevalent? How young have you seen the people in, young people in Nigeria? Because some people might be shocked at how young people are already getting hooked to drugs, right from even late primary school into early secondary school. Then also you talk about some people who are rich, MDs who are into this. Can you share with us demography of the kind of people that we see, so that we don't think that it's just a particular set of people who are into it? And then very importantly, if you can share with us the numbers. I don't think enough people appreciate how bad the situation is in Nigeria or how many people are hooked to drugs. Maybe if we understood it, we will all then understand our individual responsibilities to come together to fight against this menace, as you've talked about very well today. Then maybe you can share with us some of the activities that you're doing to mark this week's actions by the NDLEA in partnership with the United Nations overall call.
Thank you very much. Let me start with the demographics. At times we think the youth starts from age 18 above. The drug problem is now highly worrisome. In fact, it's a ticking time bomb. I want to see it as an epidemic now in Nigeria. Nigerians ought to know that even primary school children are involved in drugs now. Girls are involved in drugs. As young as age 9, they go into drugs. You see people staying around the school, pretending to sell sweets and other confectionaries. But most of them in this way also hide drugs and lure these children into it. Sometimes it's drinks. Somebody sold like a Sarah to a child. And we asked how much. She said it's 500 naira. So we became curious, our team, and we watched out for this team very objectively. Why should Lakasera? Then Lakasera was going for 80, 100 naira. Only for us to fetch that Lakasera ourselves. Upon test, realized that it was laced with drugs. That's the price difference. And it comes in various ways too. So very young children, we have to be careful not to think it's only the secondary school. Yeah. From primary school, they've started it. Have you wondered when our parents do drugs, the adults do? So we're not just talking to the youths, we're also talking to the adults now. Please be careful. Save our nation. When we do this, our sachet drinks, you smoke cigarettes and throw away the tops. The children go there and they pick the remnants and they taste it. That is why most of them get hooked on those things. So even women, pregnant women, are into it and they don't get help. The men get help. But because of the stigma, the women hide away and they don't do it in the public, but they are hooked on drugs. Now the statistics is for every 4 drug users in Nigeria, 1 is a female. And you know when women are involved in drugs, it tends to be very potent for a nation. It's bad. So we are trying to reach, even though we go to the maternities, we go to the healthcare centers to reach them. It's a big issue. It's challenging, it's worrisome. Then, for the publicly exposed persons and the VIPs, they have the money to do the higher type of drugs. We are also talking to them. They can come out of it very easily if they have the will, because it's doing them no good. Rather, it's destroying their persons. So we have so many of them.
Which drug would you say is the most prevalent? So let's talk about which is more prevalent. And then what would a 9-year-old be doing with drug or having drug addictions? What are some of the triggers? Is it money? Is it stress? Is it schoolwork? Because these are pointers that parents would like to hear about. And
adventure,
people are not aware
mostly
of it.
adventure. They want to feel like other children. If you don't do it, they think you are not hype enough.
Peer influence.
Oh yes, peer influence. It's very, in fact, at that stage, even the girls, they're into cultism. In primary school, if you're not part of them, they start to bully you.
You don't belong.
You don't belong. And they bully the ones that are sane. So teachers out there, it's not just for parents. Even the teachers must watch out for reasons why a particular child is being bullied in the class. Maybe they want to initiate the child and they say no. And there is so much permissiveness in the society and availability. We are making so much. Then talking about the schools, NTLA has made so much effort to infuse drug abuse curriculum into all our primary schools, secondary schools, and tertiary institutions. That we are able to do it because they need to get and when the teachers talk to them, they listen more.
Okay.
Even their aunties and uncles.
Okay, I want to talk about something that is now very pervasive in Lagos. It's called Colorado. Onculus. That's a drug ravaging most parts of the interior of Lagos as we speak. I mean, what's the NDLE drive as regards this scourge of Colorado? And it has a big network and ecosystem.
Colorado, you see some of those designer names are brought to trap those children or to lure them. You hear things like ecstasy, Colorado, high-sounding names. So you want to belong. Colorado is becoming a problem. Formerly, we had the eyes, that's a metaphor. The eyes was there, but now Colorado is a mixture of various, not just Colorado. People are even, the trend is shifting now to the MPS, that's a new psychotropic active substances. These synthetic substances, that's where the shift is going to. We have lots of medically prescribed drugs being abused and misused.
Codeine.
Codeine, pentazosine, there are lots of them out there now. So
what are you doing? So if it's a medical, what are you doing with the pharmacies and the Pharmaceutical Council of Nigeria? Because people still go to pharmacies without getting a prescription to get all these drugs out, and there's an ecosystem. So tell me about that. I also go back to the Colorado. What we're doing as regards Colorado.
Well, we are in collaboration not just with the pharmaceutical organizations. We are in collaboration with the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Education, with major stakeholders in the nation that ought to be with us, with international bodies. The National Drug Control Master Plan is a product of that. So we do lots of collaboration, lots of working together, And that's why the NGLA is where we are today. We have been able to move the drug fight. I just want to thank our president for giving us a chairman such as Brigadier General Mohammed Buba Marwa, CON retired. He has brought so much difference to the NGLA and to the drug war. Colorado is everywhere in Lagos, but then you ask me, what is NGLA doing? NGLA is doing so much to rid the streets of this. As I speak now, my officers are out. You saw a clip recently. I was in the bush in the elephant forest of Queen Elizabeth Elephant Forest to pull down cannabis farms. Our farm lands are being replaced with cannabis cultivation. And we are not just in a spot, we are everywhere. Recently, our number was so few that it was one NGLA officer to about 500,000 Nigerians. So it was difficult, but with the government, they are doing so much to increase our number, knowing that the challenge is enormous.
Okay, ACG Abia, let me ask you, and it's good you mentioned General Buba Marwa. Under his leadership, we've seen, a lot of dynamism. And I assume that you've been there even before he was appointed. As someone who has been within the system for quite a while. Now, what do you think the problem is? That the NDLA often behaves like it's playing possum. Sometimes the agency is very active, and then another person comes, he goes to sleep. Then another Director General comes, it wakes up. So, doesn't that say something about the institution? There must be certain institutional fault lines. What do you think needs to be done to make that institution, strong, effective, on a sustainable basis, so that it's not about, it's General Marwa that is bringing dynamism? You have been inside. Tell us some of those things that you want the Tinubu administration to address further.
Thank you very much. I know our president understands the challenges of the drug war. It's not about NGLs in every institution, even in the family. When you have a good father, the family thrives. When you have a father that is away on drugs, everybody suffers. So it's not just an NGLA thing. Any organization that has good leadership, even in the banking sector, there are some persons that will take it over and the bank collapse. Some few guys will come take over some institution and you'll see that it's everywhere. That's about NGLA. We've had, the drug war is not a funny one. It's not an easy one. But we are grateful for the leadership we have. Yeah, it's still the same NGLA officers that have been there. We haven't had new ones. We have done our best, but it brought new dynamics to the game, to the table. He redirected the paths of NGLA. He showed us how, he motivated us further. He said there's something about leadership that is very key. He's dynamic in his approach. Before he's coming on board, most officers were stagnated for 7-10 years. He came, he lifted the men, he gave us logistics to work, though we are not still there. So he has done so much to move there. But to our president, we believe he will do so much for us. NGLA has been there for years. We need more logistics. I think they are talking. We will need more logistics and help and support.
How about legislation? We talk about the executive, but we also know that, some have called for stiffer penalties, punishment, some things that should be in place to help you fight further this prevention. We cannot talk about that without speaking about the legislative aspect of things. Are there certain things that you would want to be done, especially to commemorate this year's day against drug trafficking and drug abuse? That's one. Then the second question I don't think you've spoken yet about the activities you have lined up. What you've done. I know you said a few things, but it would be nice to just hear some of the things. You said you've had walks from Saturday. Tomorrow is the grand finale. What are some of those things that you're going to be doing? And then finally, the influence of pop culture on drug abuse. So celebrity culture. I know that NDLEA, in trying to address this, try to get some celebrities on board as your ambassadors. How, to what extent? And there was criticism around the choice of the choice of ambassadors you had. Has it been effective? Has it done what you were hopeful that it would do? It would be nice to speak about it, because pop culture has a great influence on drug lifestyle. So it would be nice to hear about that.
I wouldn't know what you mean by so negative, but
the celebrities were the celebrities that were openly seen advocating for the display of materials like drugs.
Let me just come in there very fast. Yeah. I had 2 celebrities with me on Saturday, just 3 days back, when we had a massive sensitization walk around Lagos. We had Shoma Ajowa, one of our first gold medalists in Nigeria, female gold medalist. We also had Amaka, the captain of the Falcon, the female Eagle Club. They were with me. They walked the 4 hours walk with me. And those are models. In fact, Shoma...
You did 4 hours?
Oh, we did.
Dr. Mati and Dr.
You were part of it for 4 hours?
I led the walk.
You led the walk.
I led the walk.
I just wanted to...
You see?
And that's me. That's Sherman.
Evidence day. You go explain tire.
So what we are saying here is that we have very good role models. I think that's sufficient for any lady. And Shoma was there telling everybody, you can be like me. Good. You can even do better than me. Oh, that's Shoma there. We had pharmacists, managing directors.
How about musicians, actors? These are great influencers on social media.
Great social influencers. We also have them. Wilson Igado is organizing the celebrities show. And he's doing very well in that field too. So the celebrities, we work with them. We bring them, just as I've showed you, we do that very well too. We know their importance in influencing social behavior.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yes. The legislation, I asked about legislation, especially as we move towards tomorrow. And any penalties for celebrities who make it look very attractive? Anything like that?
I think that's where we need you on board. We need the media, the fourth realm of the government on board, so that you also speak with us. We want our voices to be amplified. Okay. Tell them what you think should be done. Okay. But I think they are doing so much out there. Let's leave it for them. They know what to do.
I quickly want to ask this. What about talks about complicity of some of your members?
Should I deny that? No.
Your members are complicit. NDLA members are complicit in this drug trade.
That's what I'm saying to you.
Very briefly, madam. We're almost out of time.
Should I deny that? No. We have human beings working with us. And they could be tempted, but we have a very strong disciplinary procedure. If you're found, you're disciplined. And in fact, there is zero tolerance to corruption.
All right.
So once you are found, we have the Provost Marshal's internal disciplinary measures.
Okay.
You are kicked out.
Thank you very much. That's good assurance for us. Thank you so much for your time with us this morning. It has been a very insightful, enlightening session with you. Thank you. And all the best with tomorrow's activities.